Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. Kilmacud Crokes 14 points. Cuala 1-9. Kilmacud Crokes are narrowly through to the Dublin Senior Football Championship semi-finals. They edge out a very brave Cuala side who came very, very close in the end to almost squeezing past the reigning Dublin and Leinster club senior football champions in Kilmacud Crokes. And I said this game would be close, not my own preview on Play on GAA during the week. And, I felt like this game was always going to be close because you look at the spine of that Cuala side. Mick Fitzsimons, as we know, is, one of the longest serving defenders in Dublin history. I mean, he's been unbelievable. He was obviously man of the match in this game, according to Jason Sherlock, and he was unbelievable again. He had a brilliant display. Kilmacud Crokes struggled really to break through this Cuala side. And, Fitzsimons was integral in doing exactly that. But, of course, you also have Con O'Callaghan, Peadar O'Cofaigh-Byrne in midfield. You've got a great spine to this Cuala side. And, it's been strange seeing them at Senior 2 over the last couple of seasons. But here they are up now at Senior 1 and challenging the big boys. And, Cuala have got some very, very good players. And Crokes struggled today to really get into it. Around midfield, they didn't have the same sort of dominance. They were excellent in the final quarter, but really up until that, it was a very, very even game. Shooting wise wasn't quite there. 12 wides in the game compared with Cuala, who 2 wides. Paul Mannion's shooting really in the first half and second half probably wasn't up to the standards you'd usually see from him, to be honest. He goes off injured late on in the second half. Let's hope there's nothing too serious there, because I think we all want to see him back in time. Well, maybe if you're supporting one of the other Dublin clubs that potentially are playing Kilmacud Crokes next, you don't want to see him out there. But I think we certainly all want to see Paul Mannion recover from what injury or what potential injury that may be. But we'll wait and see. It looked like something got to do with his knee potentially, so we'll have to wait and see maybe in the coming weeks what that is. Shane Walsh, fantastic, 5 points in the game, some brilliant points from frees. I think 1 point from play in the game as well. There was one free he got. I don't know if it was his first one, but it was in the first half. Hit it off the ground, and just the absolute swerve on the ball was exceptional. And it's vintage Shane Walsh, and it does bring you back to that All-Ireland final against Kerry when he looked sensational that day, to be fair. And yeah, it just wasn't quite brilliant from Kilmacud Crokes. They were slow in their build-up. They weren't quite fast enough. Cuala were causing them a lot of problems. They were matching them, player to player. Peadar O'Cofaigh-Byrne was having an excellent game from a Cuala perspective, I felt. Cuala were doing brilliant from their own kickouts as well. And it was interesting because Kilmacud Crokes, you could see clearly in the first half and early stages of the second half, they were allowing Cuala to play the short ball. They were allowing them to get possession. They were allowing them to build up. And they weren't really putting much sort of, it was almost like the game was passing them by. You could see clearly they had to go up another gear, and maybe they needed something to wake them up. And I think what happened was that's what happened with Niall O'Callaghan. Brilliant goal, really well worked. Sort of an interesting finish with his left boot. You don't think he's gonna hit it, but he does. He sort of flicks it beyond the Kilmacud Crokes goalkeeper. And Cuala are leading at that point, and going into the final 10-12 minutes, you're thinking, Jesus, the shot could be on the cards here. Like, Cuala could really go on and win this. But I think 2 things happened. Ironically enough, a bit like last year, Kilmacud Crokes seemed to play better without Paul Mannion at different times, and he goes off injured, and you're thinking, Jesus, this is worrying from Crokes' point of view. But again, they just stepped it up. And that's not to say Crokes are a better team without Mannion. I wouldn't go as far to say that now. Clearly, they're obviously better with Mannion in the team. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But they changed tactics. They pushed up on the kickouts. They were winning ball. Cuala seemed to tire massively. I felt they didn't really have the same energy about them. Overhitting passes. Couldn't really get Con O'Callaghan in the game. I felt he was very quiet. He scores the opening score of the game for Cuala, but I thought other than that, he wasn't really too much in the game. And Cuala struggled just towards the end there, just to win the ball, to get the ball. And I think it's the sign of a great team in Kilmacud Crokes that you might be underperforming. You're not at your best. A star man goes off injured. Shane Walsh, with his first start for Kilmacud Crokes, you can see clearly that maybe match fitness isn't 100% there yet. Like, he's still clearly, in my opinion, has another level to go up on. And things are going against you a little bit here. You're up against a tough team, against Cuala, Dublin quarterfinals. You haven't had too many big tests so far. but they came through it with flying colours in the end. Cuala just scored one more point after that goal. I think they only had one attack after that goal, maybe two attacks. The Mick Fitzsimon's chance as well, which he ends up kicking wide, and obviously the late point right at the death from Niall O'Callaghan when they were obviously going for a goal. But Crokes, like they slowed the game down, they kept possession, they took the sting out of Cuala completely, and showed all that experience, that they obviously gathered from the last couple of years, and obviously from last year, and winning that Leinster and Dublin Club Senior Football Championship and coming within an inch of winning the All-Ireland. So, they turned the afterburners on when they needed to, and I think that's the sign of a great team, that when the going gets tough, when you're not playing at your best, that you're able to find the response, and you're able to dig in within yourself to find that response. And Shane Cunningham, when he came off the bench, made a big impact, I felt, from a Kilmacud Crokes point of view. Craig Diaz was good at different times as well, has that big goal chance which he puts wide. Shane Walsh, 5 points in the game, excellent. Some big points towards the end of the game from frees as well, which were absolutely crucial. He kicked one from close to about 20-30 yards at one stage. And when you have a player in your team that can do that in these tough conditions, you don't have too many players in Dublin Club Football Championship that can score the type of scores that he can. So I thought that was very impressive. But look, I suppose from a Cuala point of view, in a similar fashion to Whitehall Comkill, they can take a lot of confidence. They're going up against one of the best teams in the country, actually, in Kilmacud Crokes. Kilmacud Crokes might win the All-Ireland this year. And Cuala gave them a very, very good test. It'll be interesting to see if there's another team that pushes them as close as Cuala have today in the Dublin Championship, and possibly even in the Leinster Championship as well. So it was a really, really good performance from Cuala. They can take a lot of positives. Obviously with the fact that they're a dual club, it's probably tougher for them to prepare for games like this, as opposed to maybe some other clubs, with the fact that a lot of these lads also play, club hurling. Con O'Callaghan, for example, is the example there. So, but they can take a lot of positives going into next year. Really, really good team. Niall O'Callaghan looks very good. He scored 3-1 against Clontarf earlier in the year. He gets himself a goal again today, a couple of points to add to that. The question could be, could he come into the Dublin panel? Is he an option now maybe for Dessie Farrell potentially to come into that team, whether it be off the bench or as an impact sub? I'm not sure. There definitely is options there. And seeing Padder O'Colfick-Byrne back, with full fitness, I think is great to see as well. And I think this result will stand to Kilmacud Crokes, because they've had a fairly, I wouldn't say fairly easy, but, they haven't really had a test up until this point. And today they had a test and they came through it. And I think you have to give them big credit for that. Rory says that Con O'Callaghan scored a goal. It was his brother, Niall O'Callaghan, who actually got the goal there in the end. I'd say Kilmacud Crokes just had that little bit more experience in the end. Could Castleknock be closest challengers to Kilmacud? Look, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think Castleknock will obviously need to get Kieran Kilkenny back in the side. It'll be interesting to see if he plays tomorrow. I would have had Nafina, but I still think Nafina are very, very close there. Ballyboden St. Enda's, very good team. They could push Kilmacud Crokes quite closely. Nafina weren't great today, in my opinion, but I still think, again, in a similar fashion to Kilmacud Crokes, not at their absolute best, but just about got over the line. And I think that's the thing with all the great teams. You're not always going to be at your best. You're not always going to play, flatter and brilliant football and beat teams by 20 points like they did last time out against Temple Oak. You're going to have tough games, and you're going to have games where you're not at it. And then on those days, it's up to the bench, up to tactics. It's up to finding that sort of character, as Marty Morrissey said on commentary there. So, they found that in the end. Nafina found it today. Crokes found it as well. And both sides in the end progressed through to the Dublin Club semi-finals. Definitely some work to do from Kilmacud Crokes. Make no mistake about that. It'll be interesting to see Paul Mannion's situation as well in terms of his injury. How long could he be out for now? We've seen, obviously, last year we picked up a big injury in the Leinster Club Championship, ruled him out for the rest of the All-Ireland season. So, it didn't look too good when you were looking at it on the telly there, but we'll obviously have to wait and see in regards to that. But yeah, cheers to anyone who tuned in. If you could hit the like button and subscribe, if you haven't already, be much appreciated. Plenty more videos, content, all the rest coming soon. My name's Aaron, and I will see you all later.